Hey guys, it's me, Willie, with another update on the Perish Song movie. It's a little hot in this house. I don't even know why I'm wearing black clothes. But, so pretty much what has happened is that we were supposed to film last weekend from May 24th to the 26th, and we had to cancel that weekend because we had some people kind of at the last minute just let us know that they wouldn't be able to make it out, as simple as that. And so we had to can that weekend. I mean, at the time we had already cut about 2 or 3 characters from the story, and we were at risk of having to can it anyways because we were losing. We had already lost 2 characters, and we were going into it with about I think 8 or 9 bodies, which was just short of how many people were actually part of the story to begin with, and we had to make so many changes on the fly, including I had to take on a different role that I was originally going in as a trust sacrifice. I had to go in as the sacrifice of intellect. So we had to kind of combine 2 roles together, which made it a little bit more complicated, but I was kind of on top of it for a little bit. I had kind of made little notes in my script, and there were so many lines, like every page had like crosses out of characters, and I was distributing lines between Adam and Emily and David and Carter. It was freaking crazy. So even if it would have worked out if we had gone through with the filming weekend and everyone was on board, but we unfortunately that wasn't the case, so that we had to unfortunately cancel that weekend. And we found out about this maybe last Monday or Tuesday, so I had a few days to kind of think over in my head how I could potentially, go forward with this project. Something I've been working on for about 4 months now, since the end of December, beginning of January. And, I wanted to see this project through. At the same time, I also found that it might be difficult to get people together for 3 days collectively to film this all at once in an area so far up north that, well, I mean, it's not as far as everyone thinks. It's only really like an hour or 2, but just to get maybe like 9 or 10 people all at the same time to book it off, it's challenging, and it's not like we're working in the movie industry, so that was the biggest problem. So instead, I was trying to think of other alternatives to somehow at least keep the concept of the story there, but to somehow deliver it in a different way. And so this is what I've come up with so far. Instead of making the movie itself, I was thinking of somehow taking this and turning and making a somewhat spiritual successor episodic series. And so what this series does, it takes place in sort of a what-if fashion. And at the end of Perish Song, and I'm going to put the link of the story on my DeviantArt down below. It's a 10-part series, and at the end of the story, Emily's character plays an inverted Perish Song, ultimately stopping the Watcher, who is the main antagonist in the film, and reverting everything back to normal. But the what-if scenario begs the question, what if the inverted song never worked? And what if the Watcher's plans were fulfilled and, he got his 8 sacrifices and everyone died? So in this iteration, we had to, we kind of continued the story pretty much afterwards, but then we had to also, because I met with Emily and Carter and Anthony yesterday down in Toronto, kind of outlined my idea, pitched it to them, and I wanted to bounce ideas off of them of how we could potentially make this work. So we had to first, I kind of outlined, all the rough ideas that had been going through my head, and then we had to actually, I think the Watcher, who was the core character that we decided to keep, was the one that we had to make changes to. In the story itself, the written 10-part series, he's kind of based off of sort of fantasy, like evil forces kind of possess this like body, and this sort of possession has the power to change the world, and I guess bring the world to darkness and stuff like that. But we had to make it seem more grounded in that approach. So instead, we decided to make the Watcher that of his actions are that of a serial killer's actions, and that he, the trail runs cold after, he's murdered these 8 teenagers, and now there's an investigation that's been opened into what they've dubbed the Perish Song Killer. So that way, we're still keeping it tied to the fact that the Perish Song from this game Pokemon is still tied to the Watcher's motives in killing these people. What everyone doesn't know is why. So we're expanding the story. The 8 teenagers that are dead, who are originally going to be us, is now going to be a group of random people, and we're going to now continue the story, and it's going to take, it's going to follow 2 different groups of people. One is going to be the real life, the non-fictional GTA gamers, which is our group. We're a collective group of game journalists and game bloggers, and we have this site that's, for the most part, unknown to most of the world, but maybe Canada for the most part, because we only really take place in the GTA. That's where we're at. And also there's this group of private investigators and police force that are scouring the scene where, like that at the beach where the story starts, where they find the 8 bodies, and they're dead in their natural way. They've got the pillowcases over their heads with the sacrifice of the word over top of them, like in the story. What they don't know is, the Watcher's motive and where he's gone next. At this point, the trails run cold. So they have no other clues as to knowing that there's this mysterious character that they've dubbed the Perish Song Killer, because they found as much clues that they could somehow, decipher that the move Perish Song was somehow tied into it. What they don't know is why. And what they don't know is where he is now, because there's no trace of him, and there's no trace of where he's gone and what he's going to do next. So the investigators are trying to figure that out while scouring the scene, keeping the mainstream media at bay, because of course the media is down there and they want to know more, and they're only publishing and they're only showing off what they know, which is that the mysterious murder of 8 teenagers down by a beach. A killer dubbed the Perish Song Killer. What I haven't really figured out is how they know to call him the Perish Song Killer, so that's something I'll have to figure out myself, because this also ties into how GTA Gamers gets involved. They in journalism, they had there's morning pitch meetings that go on, and so in this case, on a regular morning pitch meeting, one of the reporters brings in these 5 notes, which I have over here, and the 5 notes that we were going to use for, which outline the different sacrifices that the Watcher had planned to murder these teenagers, which is a clue that the mainstream media as well as the investigators haven't found, yet somehow someone left it lying on one of their doorsteps, as if intended to have someone follow the story and to uncover more about it. So, the GTA Gamers group is going to be kind of comprised at this moment, mostly of myself, Anthony, Carter, hopefully Chris if he's around, he might be a recurring state, Emily, and David at this point. The most people I've told about this include Carter, Anthony, and Emily, as well as Chris Wilotech, who had played a double for Ryan at first, and I believe David and Adam, who I told during the podcast. It's up on the podcast if you want to read more about it. That's where they were the first ones to kind of find out about it, as well as Carter. I haven't told anyone else, and this video is kind of going to be where I announce the sequel story. And the reason why it's going to be filmed in episodic fashion is because that way we could write a 10 to 12 minute episode, grab a few people to film for a day, and then be done with it. And we wouldn't have to take them away for a weekend or for multiple days on end. We may only need one specific group on one certain day, which won't be as hard to do as taking them away for a busy weekend in May or a busy weekend during the summer, because I know a lot of people, especially Emily, had mentioned to me that she's going to be busy for a lot of the summer because a lot of people at her work are taking weekends and weeks off to do vacation and stuff like that. So I didn't want to make it any more complicated for anyone, and I figure going at it this way, in some way, shape, or form, we're still trying to put out something that is relating to the original story. It may not be the movie that we had hoped, but it is something that I'm looking forward to trying to start up, and I'm going to be co-writing it with Emily as well as Carter in the following weeks to come. And given that this is going to be episodic, there's not a strict timeline as there was with the movie where we wanted to get it out, we wanted to film it in May and have it out by July or something like that. We can kind of go forward and see where it goes as long as the cast and crew are kind of around and we keep them updated. So this is also a kind of a video shout out to the cast and crew. If you guys are still interested in being a part of this story, we are looking for mainly cast and maybe helper crew behind the scenes. However, we're also looking to probably for recurring roles as well, since the story continues that as GTA Gamers finds these clues, they want to at least they feel like they've uncovered a scoop that could potentially put them above the other mainstream outlets, could get them widespread attention, perhaps give them the big break that they were looking for. So of course they dig deep, and the more that they dig, the more seems to be at stake when the watcher starts to realize that GTA Gamers is after him, essentially, just to finish the story and to succeed and stuff like that. So, and also there was going to be a tie-in with the investigators and GTA Gamers, and having like a corrupt investigator that's feeding news to the GTA Gamers. These were kind of ideas that I was stemming in my head that I'd run by the group, some of the group that was involved already, so they were pretty cool with it. And so that was some of those ideas as well. Maybe potential cast and crew members from behind the scenes might be downgraded to recurring roles as potential sources along the way. And the story does get more serious when these potential sources probably end up getting killed by the watcher because they probably know too much or something. They're the ones that ourselves and investigators will go to do like interviews and to try to uncover more information about what happened the night of the murders, pretty much. So that's pretty much it for the updates with the Perish Song CREEPYPASTA movie. The movie part itself has been canceled, and now it'll only be in the fashion that you see it on on DeviantArt, which is in story format. And I don't know if I'm going to make the scripts available. Probably not. Everyone's still got their copy of the scripts. What I'm hoping for is that the cast and the crew that had committed to wanting to help out with the movie would be interested in potentially sticking around to try this in an episodic format, one that doesn't really take up too much of their time, rather than maybe a day or two out of a month, depending on how often we get together to write episodes and stuff. So this would be an ongoing thing as well, depending on how it gets received by people on the internet as well. We might continue it, so we'll see how it goes. So this has been a quick update regarding Perish Song, and I hope you guys stick around because I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes. I'll see you guys later.